Let us very briefly tell you what we did in the previous class. We had actually started discussing the variational approach to solve quantum mechanical problems, and in this approach we actually had stated two different theorems, and we said that based on these two different theorems we are going to give lot of examples. Today we are going to solve or look at one example of application of variational method, and then subsequently we will look at few others also. So before going into that, let me very briefly tell you the statement of the theorem that we had already discussed. Firstly, you note that this expectation value of the Hamiltonian of a physical system is stationary in the neighborhood of its eigenstates. And this theorem had a name, it was called Reed's theorem after the person who discovered this. So the statement of the theorem is very easy to understand. It says that if we calculate the expectation value of any Hamiltonian, then it does not change in the neighborhood of the eigenstate. So we proved this. I am not going to repeat this proof once again. And the second important theorem was that we had seen that the expectation value of the Hamiltonian in an arbitrary state is always greater than or equal to the ground state of energy E0. That means, suppose I have this any state psi in which I have calculated the expectation value of the Hamiltonian, then this theorem says that whatever be the ground state, this calculated expectation value of the Hamiltonian in some arbitrary state will always be greater than or equal to E0. And then we said, and we generalized it, we said that suppose instead of ket psi, we have a family of state psi alpha where the state now depends on some parameter, say alpha, then we can always write down this E alpha as psi alpha h psi alpha divided by the normalization psi alpha. And whatever be the value of this expectation value E alpha is, it is always will be greater than or equal to the ground state energy for any value of alpha. Therefore, if I try to figure out or try to put a tighter bound or tightest bound on the ground state energy, what do I need to do? I need to actually evaluate the first derivative of this eigenstate, first derivative of this expectation value with respect to the parameter, and we put it equal to 0 to solve for alpha, which will give me the tightest bound on the ground state energy. So this we are going to apply to the first example that we are planning to discuss in this particular class, that is the example of the harmonic oscillator. Now, harmonic oscillator problem you are all very much familiar with. We have already done the harmonic oscillator in one dimension. So here what we plan to do is that we are planning to analyze the ground state energy of the system from the point of view of the variational method. And there you already knew what is your Hamiltonian is. The Hamiltonian is given by minus h slash square by twice m d2 dx2 plus half m omega square x square, which is the potential V of x. And we also know what is the ground state energy in this problem. The ground state energy is exactly known because you have solved this problem using different methods. You have solved this problem at least in two different ways. One was exactly by solving the differential equation corresponding to the eigenvalue equation H psi equal to E psi. The second one was by introducing this raising and lowering operators and then solving for the energy eigenvalues and energy eigenstates. So the thing is that your result is completely known. Then you might ask that what is the reason that we are discussing? I mean, we have already solved this problem. Why we should discuss this thing? The reason that we are discussing this example is that we want to see one familiar playground in which we can try our theory, and then we can, once we are convinced that this is giving something which we should expect by exactly solving the problem, then we will be more confident to apply this theory to some unknown problem. So as I have already said in the previous class, the first step is to figure out a trial wave function. So in order to solve this problem and look for the ground state energy, we need to first identify a trial wave function. And this should reflect all the properties of a true ground state wave function. So the question is, how should we choose this trial wave function? The answer is, this trial wave function that you are going to choose, it must reflect all the properties of a true ground state wave function. What do I mean by that? We actually know what the true ground state wave function should be looking like in a system which is the harmonic oscillator system. What do we know? We know that our system, which is the harmonic oscillator, it is invariant under parity transformation. What is parity transformation? Parity transformation is nothing but if you change your x to minus x, then the Hamiltonian is invariant. How should we look at it? You can look at this Hamiltonian explicitly, and you see that there are two places where x occurs. One is here, another is here, where both the times x occurs twice. That means here also it is x square, here also it is x square. So x going to minus x is a symmetry of the Hamiltonian. So Hamiltonian is invariant under this kind of transformation. Now, once I said that the Hamiltonian is invariant, that has some consequences. The Hamiltonian is invariant under x going to minus x. The consequence of this fact is that all the solutions of this system can be classified either as even or odd under this parity transformation. We are looking for the ground state wave function, and in one dimension, therefore, this would correspond to a function without any node. That's what I have drawn here. So we may have something which looks something like this, because I know that the ground state wave function has minimum energy, corresponds to minimum energy. Therefore, the curvature in the ground state wave function should be minimum. If I have a node like this, that means if there is a zero crossing somewhere in this x versus psi x plot, then the curvature of this object is much more compared to this object. And if the curvature is higher in a wave function, its energy is also higher. Therefore, it cannot be a ground state wave function, correspond to a ground state wave function. Therefore, there cannot be any node. And if there is no node, then the only thing that remains is that it should be something like this, and therefore it must be an even function. So that is my first criteria for the trial wave function, that it cannot have a node and therefore it must be even. Now for bound state, the wave function should vanish at spatial infinity. That is also what we already know from our basic quantum mechanics course. So that means as I move from minus infinity to plus infinity, at minus infinity also this wave function should go to 0. At plus infinity also this wave function should go to 0. So keeping these two criteria, this one and this one in mind, we can choose our trial wave function in this manner. Psi alpha 0 x is equal to e to the power minus alpha x square, where alpha is a positive constant. Now what is this alpha? Of course this alpha is kind of a parameter that is there, that is what is present in your wave function, and this 0 denotes the fact that we are looking at the ground state wave function. So therefore if we look at the psi alpha 0 bra psi alpha 0 ket, the inner product, this is required because the trial wave function is not normalized. Therefore whenever we need to evaluate the expectation value of the Hamiltonian in this state psi alpha 0, I have to always divide by this factor. That is why evaluating this is my first step. So we evaluate this quantity like dx psi alpha 0 star x psi alpha 0 x, and we know what is psi alpha 0 star. This is e to the power minus alpha x square. This also is e to the power minus alpha x square. So together it is e to the power minus 2 alpha x square, and the integration is from minus to plus infinity, and this is the standard integral whose result is square root pi by 2 alpha. So once this is obtained, let us next calculate the expectation value of v in the trial ground state wave function. So for that we know that v is half m omega square x square, but half m omega square is a constant, so it will remain outside of the integration. So we have to evaluate, in order to evaluate the expectation value of v, we have to sandwich this x square operator between psi alpha star x and psi alpha 0 x, these two wave functions, and then we integrate. So the next step shows that we have half m omega square factor, then dx x square e to the minus 2 alpha x square. So this integration has a standard result, but if we do not remember that result, the way to figure this out is this following step. In this step we have shown how to figure this integration out. See, there is one x square factor here and one e to the minus 2 alpha x square. So x square is common here and here. So if I do a differentiation under integration, that means here if I write this as dd alpha of integral dx e to the minus 2 alpha x square, then I know that once I operate this dd alpha operator on this exponential factor, minus 2x square will come down and I will have x square e to the minus 2x square sitting. But then there is an extra factor of minus 2 also. That minus 2 has to be compensated by minus half. So once I have done this, I know the result of this integral. This integral is nothing but my standard square root pi by 2 alpha. Therefore I need to take a derivative of this pi by 2 alpha to the power half with respect to alpha. So if I take the derivative, the result that I obtained is this, and since I have pi by 2 alpha to the power half as my result, I want to write the result that I wrote for expectation value of v here in a manner which has 1 pi by 2 alpha to the power half common. That is why I have 1 alpha here. Similarly, when I will write the expectation value of t also in the same state, I will try to keep one factor of pi by 2 alpha to the power half common, such that finally it gets cancelled in the numerator and the denominator. So in order to figure out the expectation value of the kinetic energy operator, what we did here is that we took the kinetic energy operator, which is minus h slash square by 2m d2 dx2, and then we sandwich it between psi alpha 0 star and psi alpha 0. So I know that this psi alpha 0 is e to the power minus alpha x square, and this minus e to the power minus alpha x square has to be operated upon by the operator d2 dx2. Now when d2 dx2 acts on e to the minus alpha x square, we have these two terms, minus 2 alpha plus 4 alpha square x square, and then also this e to the power minus alpha x square remains, and therefore finally what we obtain are the following. This is just some standard integrations which you can all do. The final result that you obtain is this minus h slash square alpha by 2m, and as I said, I need to keep a factor of pi by 2 alpha to the power half. So I have arranged my terms such that this factor comes out. So therefore I can write down psi alpha 0 h psi alpha 0, that means the matrix element in this state. So h is nothing but t plus v. So expectation value of t and expectation value of v I have taken into account here, and the expectation value of h therefore is this quantity divided by this, and that is where this pi by 2 alpha get cancelled, because this is nothing but pi by 2 alpha to the power half. So this is my result for the expectation of value of h in the ground state, the trial ground state. But by theorem 2 that we have proved in the previous class, that the expectation value of the Hamiltonian operator in any state is always greater than or equal to the ground state energy. So the expectation value h, this capital H that we evaluated in this equation 1, by the theorem that we have proved in the earlier class, it implies that this expectation value of h already exceeds the ground state energy for any value of the parameter alpha. But how much does it exceed, that we cannot get to know from this kind of calculation, but the theorem tells us that it exceeds, the expectation value of h in any state exceeds this value of the ground state energy. So the next question is that how should I put a bound on this expectation value of h? Is there a possibility to put such bound, or framed some other way around? The question can be, given this expectation value of h and given the fact that this depends on this parameter alpha, is there a way that I can put the tightest bound on this expectation value of h? The answer is yes, because the expectation value of h, as you look at, it depends on my parameter alpha. Therefore, to minimize this expectation value of h, I can actually first take the derivative with respect to alpha of the expectation value of h and then put equal to 0. So if we do that, I arrive at the value of alpha square, which is m square omega square by 4 h cross square. But this is a quadratic thing. Therefore, if we solve for this alpha, I would get two different values for alpha minimum. One is plus m omega by 2 h cross, another is minus m omega by 2 h cross. But as we will see just after a few minutes, that this m omega by 2 h cross is not a good solution, so we will work only with plus m omega by 2 h cross. So what we do here is that once we have obtained alpha min, I will put this alpha min to this equation number 1, where we have obtained the expectation value of h in terms of any alpha, any parameter. For all alpha value, this is true. So I have put this alpha minimum to the expectation value of h. Therefore, I denote this whole thing as expectation value of h evaluated using alpha mean, and then I put the value of alpha mean from here to the expectation value of h, and what I obtain, to my surprise, I obtain the exact ground state energy. And also, if you want to figure out what will be your psi 0, the ground state trial wave function, using the alpha mean, alpha minimum value, it turns out to be e to the minus m omega by 2h cross x square. Because remember, you started with the trial wave function e to the minus alpha x square. Now what I am claiming is that my alpha minimum is m omega by 2h cross. Therefore, my alpha mean is m omega by 2h cross here, and this psi alpha minimum 0 also tells us why we said that this is not a good solution for alpha. Because if alpha minimum is minus m omega by 2h cross, then this quantity becomes positive. That means we will have term like e to the power plus m omega by 2h cross x square. But if I have something like e to the power plus m omega by 2h cross, then this quantity diverges as x goes to plus minus infinity, because there is this x square factor. So alpha equal to minus m omega by 2h cross would give diverging solution as x goes to plus or minus infinity. Oh, sorry, x goes to plus infinity only. Yes. So therefore we have to discard this alpha. Now we can also calculate the energy of the first excited state of the harmonic oscillator using the same variational method. So once we have figured out what is the ground state energy, we can go on to calculate the bound on the first excited state energy. Now in this case, what are the properties that we should look for? First of all, it should have a node. Now that we are not looking at the ground state energy, we no longer need to look at functions like this. We can look at functions like this also. So the first property that one looks for is that it should have a node, and therefore it must be an odd function. Second thing is, as usual, at plus minus infinity, this wave function should also vanish. So therefore my trial wave function should be, this time let us choose another parameter beta, psi beta 1. This 1 stands for the first excited state. X as a function of x is x into e to the minus beta x square, where this x tells us that the function is odd, and this e to the minus beta x square takes care of the fact that the function behaves properly, that is goes to 0 as x goes to plus minus infinity. And also we have to keep in mind that my beta is greater than 0. As usual, we have to calculate this psi beta 1 x, and if we calculate psi beta 1 star, then the integral is from minus to plus infinity x square e to the minus 2 beta x square. And if you evaluate this is again a standard integral which we have evaluated in the ground state also, or ground state calculation also, and this comes out to be 1 by 4 beta into pi by 2 beta to the power half. Now we also have to keep one important thing in mind, that because we are actually looking at psi beta 1 star, which is an odd function, then it is very easy to show that these are the orthogonality of the eigenfunctions too. For example, if you look at psi beta 1 star x with psi alpha minimum 0 x, that means the ground state and the first excited state, they are orthogonal, because if you write down explicitly, we will have a factor of x and then e to the power minus something into x square. So this is an odd function, therefore. So if it is integrated from minus to plus infinity, this will give us 0. Therefore, the orthogonality is inbuilt. Now, this psi beta 1, we can calculate the expectation value of the potential energy operator. And here this is half m omega square x square, but this and this also has two factors of x, so it together we have x to the power 4 and then e to the power minus 2 beta x square. Now again, by the same trick that I have mentioned during the calculation of the ground state estimation of the energy, ground state energy. So here we have a factor of e to the minus 2 beta x square and a factor of x to the power 4. Therefore, I can immediately see that if I take the derivative of this object twice, then I will have a factor of, with respect to beta of course, I will have a factor of x to the power 4 downstairs. So I have first derivative that will give me minus 2x square. If I take derivative once again, that will give another minus 2 times x square. So in total we will have x to the power 4 here, but we will also have a factor of 4 which has to be taken care of by this factor of 1/4. Now this integral is already evaluated many times, which is pi by 2 beta to the power half, and therefore we have m omega square by 8 dd beta of this pi by 2 beta to the power half, which has been evaluated here step by step. You can do these steps, all these steps, and finally you can arrive at an answer which looks something like this. So therefore, this is the expectation value of the potential energy operator. In the same manner, you can go ahead and calculate the expectation value of the kinetic energy. There is no physics here, it's just doing some integrations and taking care of all the algebras that is there. In this manner, you can evaluate the expectation value of the kinetic energy, which turns out to be this, and therefore finally when you calculate the expectation value of h, you have psi beta 1 h psi beta 1 divided by this factor psi beta 1 psi beta 1, and this is what you obtain. Now again, to figure out what is the tightest bound, to figure out tightest bound on the expectation value of h, we evaluate dd beta of expectation value of h equal to 0. So that is going to give us this equation, from which we can obtain beta minimum to be this. So again, it will be a quadratic equation in beta, but then the other solution with negative sign will not be a correct solution, because it will not give us the expected behavior at the spatial infinity. It will diverge. That is why we discard the solution with negative sign. So beta minimum will be m omega by 2 h cross, and therefore if you use this value or the expression of beta minimum into this expectation value of h, then what you obtain is simply 3 by 2 h cross omega. Again, we have obtained something which is exactly same, because we have the expression for the exact eigenenergies of the harmonic oscillator, which is n plus half h cross omega, and we have n equal to 1, therefore this is going to give us 3 by 2 h cross omega. This is the exact result, and this is the result that we have obtained as a bound on the ground state energy by using variational technique. So therefore you must be somewhat surprised that although we were supposed to get the bound on the ground state energy or the bound on any state energy, we in this example did not get the bound, rather we have obtained the exact expression for the energies. Why is that? The answer is very simple. The answer is that our results are exact because of our choice of the trial wave function. In fact, the way we have chosen this trial wave function, it exactly matches with the nature of the harmonic oscillator wave functions. But therefore, also remember that it happened to match the exact results. Not necessarily it should be the same in other problems, in particular problems where you do not have any a priori knowledge about the eigenenergies or eigenvalues. There the trial wave function may not at all match with the original ground state wave function, and therefore depending on that your result is going to change. And the challenge lies in the fact that you have to choose a trial wave function which is going to give you the very precise bound or very close value to the proper or true ground state energy. So remember in this case that the Gaussian is a very easy function to work with, so it is a very popular trial wave function even when it bears little resemblance to the true ground state. Many times it happens that the Gaussian that we have chosen, remember that this form is known as the Gaussian. So this is a very famous and very popular type of trial wave function that one uses when one tries to solve the quantum mechanical problems using this variational method. So we will come back with some more examples. The next example that we plan to discuss is the hydrogen atom, and then finally we will do a concrete unknown example which will be the example of the helium atom. So let us stop for today.